Algebra 2, Practice 9-3, Finding and Estimating Square Roots. So, as you've learned before, when you square a number, what you're doing is multiplying it by itself. So 3 squared is going to be 9. That means the square root of 9 is 3. So when you're finding the square root, you're basically doing the opposite of squaring a number. You're trying to figure out which number squared equals that number. So let's look at number 1. First of all, we're trying to figure out whether each expression is rational or irrational. So first we need to figure out what is the opposite of the square root of 64. So basically, what squared equals 64? And since 8 times 8 equals 64, our answer is 8. And since this is negative, this is negative. So it's very important to note that you just write 8. You don't write 8 squared, and you don't write square root of 8. It's just 8. So now we need to say whether it's rational or irrational. So a rational number is any number that can be written as a fraction. For example, 3/4, -5, and 6.6666666 forever and ever and ever, because it can be written as 6 2/3. So any decimal that goes on and on and on, but has a repeating number, that is going to be rational, even though it looks irrational. An irrational number are numbers that are decimals that go on and on and on and on without repeating. So, for example, 3.141592453589, which is, by the way, pi. So anytime you see pi, anytime you see a whole bunch of numbers that have no pattern and no repetition, those are all going to be irrational. So since -8 is an integer, it is going to be rational. And that is number 1. Okay, so let's move on. So number 4 is the square root of 144. So we're trying to figure out what times itself equals 144. And as it turns out, 12 squared equals 144. So the square root of 144 is 12. And since it is a whole number, it's an integer, this is a rational number. Okay. So for number 7, we are trying to figure out between which 2 consecutive integers is each square root. So the square root of 38, it's not a perfect square. We're going to end up with a decimal that's probably irrational, that keeps going on and on. So we're going to look at this row over here. What 2 numbers, or what 2 perfect squares, is 38 between? So 38 is right here, in between 36 and 49. And if we follow these lines, the square roots are 6 and 7. Okay, so the 2 integers that the square root of 38 is between is 6 and 7. But since this is negative, we're going to say -6 and -7. And this is our answer for number 7. So for number 10, we have square root of 8.7, or negative square root of 8.7. So if we refer back to this chart, 8.7 is going to be right, nope, not here, because it's less than 9, so right here, between 4 and 9. So that means it is also between 2 and 3. So if we look here, we're going to say 2 and 3. And since this is negative, these are also going to be negative. So this is your answer for number 10. Okay, so for number 13, we just need to find the square root of each number. So the square root of 49. So basically, what squared equals 49? And the answer to that is 7. So you really need to know your times tables for this. 16, we're looking for the square root of 400. So we know that the square root of 4 is 2. And since there's 2 zeros, we can cut one of these out and say 0. So the square root of 400 is 20. Number 19, the square root of 196. And if you're not sure, you can always use a calculator. If you do it enough times, you'll eventually remember. And so a number squared that equals 196 is 14. So this is your answer, 14. 22. Oh, it's exactly the same. Okay, 14. That's the answer to number 22. And now you're done. That's it for practice 9-3.